okay? Have a very little ego. And, he allows us to fall on our faces. He allows us to understand fundamentally that we're all born sinners. It's in our DNA. You can't help it. But he wants us to fall on the rock of our salvation, Jesus Christ, and to be broken to pieces by that weakness. Okay, because in our weakness, his strength is perfected. He has ways to work that are beyond my understanding. A lot of the things I talk about, they just seem to come to me. Okay, because I'm letting it flow. Trying to let it flow from the mind of God, because on my own, I'm nothing. No man is an island unto himself. I love people. I really love people. I thrive being around other people. I smile and laugh. I get lighthearted. I have a good time because I love people. And I don't just love some people, I love all people. And I meet some very obstinate, difficult people to deal with sometimes, just like we all do. I mean, hell, I was at Walmart just yesterday, and I met a fellow that I could tell had some real issues. But there's one thing I still admired about him. Even though I was a customer and the customer's always supposed to be right, and even in this mega corporation of Walmart, that this guy was being true to himself. And so I gave him respect, and I heard him out. I really did. But he tried to sell me on this idea that there's no moral absolutes, and, it's every, whatever's right in your own eyes, that, that's okay. And I challenged that because I think that's really fundamentally illogical. It's irrational. It's not reasonable. Okay, because it goes against basic precepts, basic teachings from Jesus, such as, treat others the way you want to be treated. But you know what? I could have, when I was a younger man, I don't think this man would have challenged me the way he did, because I would have been more quicker to be self-righteous and to jump down his throat. Instead, you see, God has been working on me over the years, and so I was able to humble myself and just talk to this man as a brother, as an equal, and respect him. And you know what? It was a beautiful thing. And at the end of the day, we had some common, denominators that we could agree with. And we left it at that. And that was just beautiful, because I know I sowed seeds in his mind. This man is probably vaccine damaged. He's probably fluoride damaged, genetically modified food damaged. And, I'm really glad that God has given me this spirit that's able to work with people like that. Very difficult, ornery people. And it's a beautiful thing. So he's teaching me how to love everybody. But yes, I get angry. I get angry when I think about bloodthirsty monsters that are trying to turn us into their image and likeness. They're trying to get us on board with this, this eco-fascist program, this Agenda 21, the New World Order, this globalist mindset. I'm very opposed to these people, and I make no bones about it. So, anyhow, what these people are trying to do is they're trying to invoke, a form of paralyzing fear in the minds of the public through propaganda. And they want us afraid of ISIS, this boogeyman that, hey, wow, they're getting closer and closer. They've always got to have some way to instill fear, invoke fear, because I use invoke because this is a way, to help you understand these people are into this black magic. They're ritualists. And so in that sense, they conjure up these evil spirits. And so they love confusion. Instead of inviting, say, we're going to have a round table with some of the leaders of this ISIS. So we're going to get to the bottom. What's their beef? What's their ancient hatred? Let's see, what is the grounds for this hatred? Well, you hate the fact that we've got, they feel like we've got these imperialist Americans, and, these are mostly Christians and that are invading the Muslim lands. Well, we've got to understand that these people might have a legitimate point here. But what to do about it? Okay, that's where the roundtable discussion needs to come in. Why are we there in the first place? That's something that the Western world needs to answer for. What's the true reasons behind it? Is it for profit, like President Eisenhower warned when I was a little baby? I don't remember the speech, but you can hear it anytime you want online, where he warns about the fact that, there's business interests involved. So the idea that there could be frame-ups and false flags, this is not conspiracy theorists. This goes into archaic encyclopedias, this idea of creating false flags where, you frame your enemy that you want to attack for whatever reasons. You want control, you want dominance, you want, for financial gain, which is all part and parcel of this same control agenda. The last time I made a video, I talked a little about the words that they've manipulated. They manipulate our language. And I'm not just talking about the English language. I'm talking about all the languages. The way they do that is by manipulating the definition of the word itself. Okay? And another word that's on my mind here is capitalism. They've framed capitalism. They've besmirched the name of capitalism because, if you study true capitalism, you understand there are certain fundamental components that in order to label an economic program as true capitalism, you've got to have at least risk involved, and you've got to have at least competition, which means you can't have price fixing, market manipulation, price rigging, collusion. That's all that is, and monopolies. So that goes against free market supply and demand, and free market capitalism. That goes against competition. That's what it goes against, competition. So that component is absent now. We don't have that. This is crony capitalism. And we also don't have risk, because that's where the socialism, in a bad socialism, where they privatize the profits, they allow the money printing class in collaboration, in collusion, in cahoots with the political class as their puppets, their rubber stampers, their authorities, there's figureheads of legitimizing and validating this theft of the wealth of the people of the nation, which is the nation itself. That's what a nation is comprised of. Right in our faces, this is happening. So they steal this wealth, put us in debt in perpetuity, and the way they extract that debt is they never have any intention of paying it. They don't want it paid. They want to pour more debt on slowly and just turn us into a third, fourth world country, fifth world country if they can. They'll push as hard as we'll accept. Just like Thomas Jefferson said, the level of tyranny you live under is the level you accept. So there's no easy out. There's no sitting back on our laurels and let this happen and saying, hey, I'm on high and dry ground right now. I can't worry that you guys are all drowning out there, because you know what? You should have done what I did. You should have conformed. You should have got an education. You should have got a niche. You should have fit into the establishment somehow. Stop being out there against it and fighting it right and left. Stop being the, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes out there fighting for the poor that are going to literally die out on the streets, are committing genocide right in front of our faces. Most people don't even know it. Okay, I know it. I see it. Here we've got a surplus of housing in America, more surplus than ever before in history. And yet we're letting our own native sons and daughters die out in the streets. And among those are veterans that fought for the freedom of our nation. Do you understand? And you're going to be okay with that and say, hey, I'm in a niche. I'm safe and sound. And, I know the tide's rising and the cost of living keeps going up and my money's being debased before my eyes because of sound currency, because of this program of indebting the nation. I know that we're all paying for it somehow, But I'm just, I'm okay, so, I can't worry about you guys. Well, listen, I don't want to be numbered in that camp. So, you know what? I'd much rather be numbered among the oppressed than the oppressors. But you've got to understand how these people operate. They need division. They need chaos. They need crime. They need control. They need dubious warfare. They need debt. This is how these people remain relevant. And they do it. Even though it's a very small minority they're doing this to us, to the whole nation. They get away with it because they're willing to do things. They're stooped to levels that we're not willing to stoop to. And murder is among those things they're willing to do to maintain power. But there's going to get to be so many people, there's going to be a critical mass of goody two-shoes that are going to stand against them. And it's going to be people right within the government, working right within the establishment that are saying, no, we're not going along with this program. We're just going to start not doing what you say. Imagine that happened. Imagine God was really helping us. Imagine these holy angels are all real. And there's good evidence to point to that all this stuff is real. The Bible is wild. Look up the conversion of Paul in the book of Acts. Look what happened. Paul was changed 180 degrees. This is what's happening right in front of our faces. This thing is turning around with God's help. So imagine the nuclear threat was off the table. Do you think they want you to know that? No. They love you in fear. They want you to believe Iran's a threat. Russia's a threat because of the nuclear. It's not. So then what's next? So then they lose power. Well, we got fighter jets, and this is the next greatest threat, right? Because they're the most versatile. They can go in there, and so you better watch out for our fighter jets that can wreak havoc among your nation and kill millions of you. But when the fighter pilots themselves say, you know what, I'm a good guy. I'm not just going to do what this a-hole tells me. I remember what the Nuremberg trials were all about. You don't just take orders. You appeal to your conscience first and foremost. So they start losing power. This is how they do it. So the top cops, let's say, what do they call the top cop? The Attorney General, okay? What if they start saying no? And all the leaders of the FBI and the NSA, all these people start turning on their masters. This is what's happening. It's going to happen. Okay, and the people